mess with the bull, young man. You'll get the horns.
Well, he really hit the shit out of that one, didn't he? Look at that, he hit the fucking bull.
I think that's why we wanted to do this podcast, right? Was to hear that story. Good for you. That's awesome.
You don't want to fade Logan's locks. Like, that's something you typically don't want to do.
Toro, Spanish for bull, noun, badass digital marketing agency ready to make your life simple AF.
All right. Always Bullish Podcast. We are back January 28th here with Matt Sullivan as usual. And we're joined today by James Hart from Shore Motor Werks. James, thanks for coming into the office, enjoying some Cisco, jumping on the podcast today.
Thank you.
Yeah, good to have you in.
Yeah, no, thank you guys.
There's a lot of history to talk about here today.
Way back.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a lot to learn.
You do have
Why
a
don't
lot
we
to
just
learn.
dive right in there?
Yeah, we can jump right into that if you
Yeah,
want.
how do you two know each other and originally?
I don't know. James, you want to kick this off? I mean, it all came from one mutual friend, right?
All came 2013. I was ready to punch out on my own, start my own business, and needed a website.
Yeah.
Buddy of ours, Kevin, played baseball with Matt for a while.
Yeah.
He's like, my buddy does websites. So I'm like, awesome. All right, let's go.
Yeah. So good old Papelroon. Kevin Rooney.
Couple $100 in a 6-pack. I was up and rolling.
It was some
And then
good.
I was like, hey, I need a logo. So, the logo we still have today, Matt made all the vectors
Yeah.
13 years ago for that. And business is moving along. And now we're back
That was funny.
full circle.
I remember
Website guy
that.
since 2012.
Yeah. So Rooney, mutual buddy, like I played summer baseball with him, and I mean, he was just like the guy. He was just like not a big guy, but he'd come in and like mow everyone down. We always just call him Papelroon. He comes in just like Papelbon at the time, and he was just the man. Is the man. But yeah, he connected us, and I think we were going back and forth on stuff. I was just getting started as a freelancer, working on a bunch of digital stuff. Still just referral here and there. So yeah, I think it was a couple $100 and a 6-pack was pretty much the agreement. Nice handshake agreement, and yeah, I remember working on the logo because it was one that I remember dressing up quite a bit, and you were continuously, I think, being like, no, less. We need less. It was like one of those where I was like trying to create this sexy, cool logo, and it was like, no, keep dumbing it down. And it just kind of like went to this very simplistic kind of like bolt, right? It's a
gear.
It's a gear.
It's
Sorry.
a gear.
I knew I was going to mess that up. Yeah, that's a gear. But yeah, it's still the one standing today from 2013.
Yep. Yeah, still out there.
It was cool. I remember just going down Lowell Street, the first location, seeing it big on the sign, being like, oh, I did that.
Yeah.
It's cool. But now you've moved since then, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't those always the logos that make it, though? Like, you think of, like, Nike, how simple that logo is?
Sure.
Like, I feel like the more simple the logo you can get, the better in a lot of cases.
We always say that, there's sophistication and simplicity, and it's just like those things last and they look established. So that was something early on, too.
Yeah.
And you were always kind of like super focused on like a niche of this, right? You weren't going for any type of auto, right?
No, we started out when I moved into the location on Lowell Street. I bought a all makes garage. Some of his customers came along, but I was more BMW focused. That's what I went to factory training for. That's the car I knew. That's the car I had a passion to work for. And it was me and 2 other guys, then down to 2 for a while. Strictly BMW. Then as we grew, scaled the business, we brought in additional German makes, Volkswagen, Porsche, Audi, and of course Mini Cooper's still there. But yeah, it's really taken off over the years.
Was there like a part of that growing up where you were either like always interested in cars or specifically like BMWs or things like that? Like, take me back to that. Like, where did this kind of come to fruition initially?
It came from, as a kid, helped my dad out in the driveway. He had nothing to do career-wise with cars. It was always a hobby. 16 years old, bought my own Volvo, wrecked it, bought another one that had a good motor in it, swapped everything over with my buddy Pat over the course of summer, so we had a car to drive. And this is literally in a driveway outside using skateboards and jack stands. I'll dig up the picture sometime. We're in our Mount Vernon lacrosse sleeveless pennies covered in grease. And then,
That's awesome.
All
That's
this
what I want out of my person working on my car. I want them to have been using skateboards back in the day when they got going.
It was a Pal Peralta Tony Hawk. I still have that at the house, actually. Then went through high school. College wasn't the right thing for me out of the gate, so I went in the Marine Corps. Nothing to do with mechanics. Everybody assumes that, you worked on tanks or trucks. I was actually a machine gunner. Went to Kosovo in the late 90s and then Afghanistan in 2001, 2002.
Wow.
Got out of the Marine Corps, then went back into school, studied economics, but I needed extra money. So I worked part-time at a Porsche independent in Fairfax, Virginia. Learned a lot there while I was going to school. In that process, though, I was like, you know what? I had more passion for what, Ivan, my boss, had going on than staying the course, either going back in the military or federal law enforcement, which were my goals. So I decided to go the level of automotive. I went to BMW factory training program, then worked at a dealer for a number of years. Moved up to this area. Wasn't the happiest at the dealer I was with, so went to work for an independent and was there. Learned a lot while I was there. Good crew of guys I still keep in touch with. 3 of the 4 guys I worked with there have their own shops. One's down the South Shore Auto Works, and Auto Engineering Lexington. All those guys, we all work together, still keep in touch, talk daily, if not once a month.
Was there a moment there that you're talking to these other guys, or working with them, they have their own shops? Did any one of them kind of be like, James, what are you doing? You got to go do this thing on your own? Or was that kind of just something in the back of your head? It was like, it feels like it's time.
It was always in the back of my head. Just needed catalyst to get going, and came about 13. I was ready to make the big push. Went on, followed my papers. And then it was like, okay, put the business plan together, and I didn't have the lawyers. I didn't have anything behind me. It was all new. I didn't know I had to, I didn't know anything about occupancy permits. I was just like, I lease a building, start working on cars in it, and get a business certificate. Right. I didn't know any of these steps. Yeah. I couldn't afford to know any of these steps. And this is the first place. It's learning the whole time.
Just trial and error, kind of just seeing what works, what doesn't, figuring it out as you go.
It was off the hip. I knew how to fix cars, knew how to fix BMWs. I knew how to, meet a customer's expectations. Yeah. It's pretty cut and dry. We're a service. If someone's coming to us with something broken, we fix it, we make it better.
Right.
And I had the skills to solve that problem.
Right.
But knowing the ins and outs of government and which way to go here, that was big consumer, big headache, a lot of sleepless nights. Operating unofficially for 3 months, till you till this piece of paper came out that said, hey, the town likes you.
Oh my goodness. So you get going, set this up, you're starting to learn some of the stuff on the fly. Was it just you, or did you hire immediately? I
inherited 2 staff members from the prior business. One was with me for 2 years. He's a great guy. He since went out did his own thing as well.
Sweet.
One of them was with me for about 9 years. Literally graduated the Vogue program. Built the business with him. He was younger, turned 30 years old. When we moved into our new location, fortunately, he wanted to move out. Try it on his own. I said, good call. It's tough,
Yeah. That's something you don't know until you actually jump in with 2 feet. Yeah. You're just like, you can have that immediate, like, oh shit, regret, or like, oh, okay.
Exactly. The biggest thing about being, self-employed, entrepreneur, this or that, it's a girl in the corner. if anyone has. It's something always like, hey, looking down on you. It's like you walk into a room with someone you don't want to see, and they're standing there.
Yeah.
It's the same vibe. It's just another layer in life.
Yeah. You can't turn it off either.
No.
Like, I think we can probably relate on that, is that we have, significant others and families and all that stuff. And I remember early on getting shit from like going away on a vacation or something, but I had to make calls or do emails or whatever, and just like kind of always consumed me around the clock, especially in the early days. That she's like, why can't we just like, do a vacation without this stuff? I was like, it'll fall apart in like 5 seconds if I don't do that.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some of those too where maybe vacations got delayed or weren't able to do certain things, or
Definitely. Commitments were hard. They still are. I mean,
yeah,
it's something every year come up with like a personal goal sheet. It's like, hey, I'm going to spend less time here.
Yep.
I mean, literally I have to write down, I'm going to limit myself to X amount of hours at the business, and stick to it. It's you have to do it.
I agree. It takes a long time, and you're 12 now.
Yeah, you're 12. Yeah. Wow.
Nuts.
So the thing is, it's just you gotta. I enjoy it. I enjoy the car side of it. I enjoy dealing with the customers. I enjoy, seeing the growth, seeing the pullbacks if we have one. It's a constant curve.
It is just challenging in general.
How long were things rolling before you were able to delegate, to create that, like, I need to be out of there for X amount of hours?
Good question. So right now, I hear this. I told my wife the other night. I had to shoot out of work. Something came up at the house. I was like, I can get out of here. But still, there's some amount of guilt if I have to leave. If I'm not there, I'm like, but I have a great team downstairs. Brad, manager, Chris, all my staff. They're A players, great, and they just say, hey, we got this, and they do. But I have what's in play now to leave, to step back, but my challenge now is, letting go.
Oh my God, the guilt's real, no matter what.
Yeah.
I got, dad guilt, or if I'm not like with the kids, but then like work guilt if I'm not the first one in here and trying to set an example or any of that stuff. I'm being pulled in both ways too, so I can kind of relate in regards to that. Is that there's always something.
Yep.
Even if you can delegate,
Yep.
You want to set the tone with everything. But
What's it been like building that team? I can only talk about here, right? Being here right from the beginning, and now we're up to double-digit people. That comes with its own unique sort of challenges. What has that been like? Within your industry, has that been difficult, or you've had people?
Building the team I have now. They're great. We have I can leave to do this. I've been able to go on a vacation, not get a call for 5 days, which was unheard of. That's like a milestone. It's like I didn't get called. The place didn't burn down. I didn't lose all my customers, but that's still getting over that stuff. But getting those people in there, A players, all my technicians, Brad, Yuki, Bob, Craig, Justin, Jacob, they were all master level technicians at the dealership. Brought them on. Having someone that seasoned also has its trade-offs, but they know what we're doing. It's not a training environment. We have very few comebacks. We get the job done correctly the first time. That's our goal. And if we don't, we own it. It's on us. But there are two trains of thoughts. As a shop owner, some are like, hey, get these. You class them A, B, C level. You get the C level guys and have one A level there to actually oversee them. It doesn't really work for my system that I have, because all my technicians, they're brand specific. Like Jacob, factory trained Audi technician. I can, say beyond a doubt, he knows this car inside and out. He can handle it. We have the tools for him. We're not, grabbing a off-the-shelf scanner. I've invested in factory-level tools that require, 3 months of back-end paperwork to get authorized to purchase. And we have that technology in-house. All my guys, same with the BMW line. We just bought a $50,000 tool to talk to newer Mercedes that I won't even see for 5 months. But having A players and giving them the tools they need to do the job.
What's that been like from, you're on your back on a skateboard going under a Volkswagen at 16 to today in regards to like the technology that you work with or the cars that you're working with? Like, has that just gotten so much easier now as 2025 where it's like these are easier to fix or less problems, or like how does that kind of advancement in cars kind of come into play here?
So problems with problems with cars, a lot of them are environmental, a lot of them are operator induced or lack of maintenance. You still had brakes, you still had wheel bearings, everything else. Right now we see a lot of issues on these vehicles. They have multiple control units, all those sensors that pick up if a car is behind you, passing you on the highway. They put them in the bumper, like right behind the bumper. And in New England, what's everybody's car covered in this winter with? Salt.
Yep. Right.
That corrodes everything, corrodes all the wiring to them. Usually it's, they cause communication issues, or that water actually ingresses and oxidizes those control units, causing, weird flaky issues.
Is there like a hack right now in this type of weather that you recommend to like better protect this stuff, or is it all just like, hey, we got to go get this tuned up no matter what?
Go through the underbody car wash and cross your fingers.
That sounds about right. I'm probably overdue for a checkup on that stuff too. But, is that an advantage too, just due to the type of car that you work on, like European cars? Like, it's not the most affordable, but
it's every car has that system for the most part now. I mean, Toyota has it. Every other make, they have some kind of. It's all the ADAS. Features and driver safety. One
interesting thing, like, so I drive a Chevy, and I got the key, smart key, all that stuff, that I go to the dealership or anywhere, and they just like, look at the key data and understand my car now, which always blew my mind. They're like, oh, let's just see what's wrong. And it's like, they didn't even look at the car. They just grabbed my key. That type of stuff just blows my mind. But I'm sure, I feel like BMW and some of these other European cars, they're like on the cutting edge of that all the time. So is there like stuff that you feel like you keep having to like year over year, like just stay educated on the type of new advancements? Like, is it innovating that fast? So
with all the manufacturers, Volkswagen, Audi, Porsche, Mercedes-Benz, we have factory logins. We get they're called SIB, Service Information Bulletins, pretty much. And if latest and greatest comes out, the tech sprues through them here and there. For example, you have XYZ, check engine lights on, car stumbles when it starts up. We go on there, we'll have a fault code. We can put that in a fault survey on this manufacturer's site. It'll say, okay, first measure is to actually update the software. It's not a fault with a component per se. It's a firmware in the DME or ECU that makes the engine run that just needs an update because of wear tolerances or that the motor starts to form, and this changes actually how it operates on a cold start. So step one, sometimes not even, you pull this car, fault code says, hey, the car's misfiring. You go online, it's like, oh, it needs plugs. It's sometimes software.
Interesting. there's that software component to it now. I remember people taking like, posting on like Instagram or any of that stuff, a picture of their car updating software initially of like the home screens. I know anyone that bought a Tesla early on was doing that stuff. And they're like, this is the weirdest thing. I'm like downloading an update to my car. Just weird.
Yeah,
Just
so
like
most of the stuff we see, the updates you see are mainly for the infotainment stuff. Any powertrain mainly is still done over wire. So we actually have a network. We network in, use what you call a VCI or multiplexer, and it pretty much plugs in. It still uses the OBD2 socket, but it's going over Ethernet.
Gotcha.
I was just thinking, like, I'm not a car guy. My
Yeah,
father
yeah.
never taught me one thing about cars. He taught me a lot of good stuff, but the cars were not one of them. So when I go to the mechanic, luckily I've had a mechanic forever. My family's had the same one, so there's a lot of trust there. But anytime I've had to go to someone else, I do have that feeling of like, this guy could be screwing me. I have no idea, because it's one of those things that I feel like for some people they don't have the background on it. How do you talk? Because your reputation is flawless. You have so many great reviews. Like, how do you communicate with clients that are kind of like me, where I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna pay whatever you tell me to pay, but that's where we're at.
So that's the biggest thing, business wise, is establishing trust. You can trust us because I can say, beyond a doubt, I have experts working for me. We don't need to guess or fabricate. We can fix your vehicle. Also, we don't just say, hey, needs this, or hey, why is this? It just does. We have written out explanations. If you brought your vehicle to us, we first, it's duplicate your concern, see what's going on. Then we figure out the why. Why is it doing it? Go down that path, and then what's the correction? Just cause of the concern, then the correction. We present that, so it's black and white.
Right.
Sure.
It's as long as you have, like, going back to everything, just having the staff and the technology on hand. It's cut and dry. It's the shops that wherever we see this, where there's a mistrust, it's somewhere who didn't know the vehicle, didn't have that. They had a very inexperienced or someone not in the capabilities to work on that car.
Right. I feel like it's the same with the website. Like, if we built the website, if we know that website inside and out, we can find the problem in 2 seconds. One of the big issues with us is if we don't know the back end.
Yeah.
Right, if we don't know under the hood how it was all put together the last time.
True. Yeah, no, your BMW is like our WordPress, where,
Right.
we kind of know that, but you can also build that out 100 different ways. But, no, it is funny. You do have to have that transparency, and I feel like there's certain people that you have to have in your Rolodex. Like, you need someone for a question about, I don't know, maybe a legal thing. You need someone in auto that you can run something by.
Yeah.
You need like certain people in your network. So that's been good. I've run some stuff by you in the past.
Yeah.
Even just like, I don't know, just like, am I getting screwed here? Does this even make sense? Like stuff like that. It's good to have.
The biggest challenge, though, is too, it's, consumer, it's do you waive DIAG? Do you waive testing? And we can't. I mean, that's time. That's a lot of resources. In any, we hear, oh, well, they used to do this here, and they bury it somewhere else. It's a clamshell game. So we're up front. We sell, if you had a bunch of vibrations, my staff up front, we have, initial chassis inspection, initial noise, initial water leak inspection from, like, hey, it rains. It spells out, hey, we're going to do this, 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 and it's all there. And it's up to 1 hour initially. We put that out right away just to, clarify that, yes, you have to pay for that time.
There was, I think early on days, you're probably just finding a spot, maybe less concerned on location, but you did move to a new location. What was that like? How disruptive was that to the business of moving and shifting to a whole new spot, from everything, from online directories to whatever? Like, did you have trouble in making that adjustment?
So I just made a big, Excel punch sheet.
Yeah.
Nothing, fancy like, Monday or whatever.
Yeah.
But just on Excel, like just a big punch list. I still have my original one from when I, opened up. Just any brainstorm, brainstorm step, check. So making this move, I was actually pursuing properties for 3 to 4 years before I moved into our current location, 14 Lonergan. I hit like a milestone revenue-wise out of the old Lowell Street location. I was at capacity. It was at mechanical capacity. We couldn't get more cars through there. I couldn't get any more staff in there. It's old Shell station. So I had multiple real estate deals fall apart. I had SBA approvals for big properties. They fell apart. The deal go through, you'd go into, fail environmentals for one reason. 3 or 4 deals fell apart. Is just looking at properties cost to, investigate or cross 3 or 4 around $50,000. Where I am now came on up is an option for us. Definitely needed a little refresher, and we locked down the deal there. 6 months later, after I signed the lease, we did the build out in 6 months. I invested about $300,000 into the flooring. I didn't want to go with the classic epoxy. We actually did a ground honed concrete finish, so that's why it looks all
Nice,
like your countertop,
right? It's good stuff.
Putting all the equipment in, permitting. It's about six months there. But in the course of that, right when I signed the lease, I got the staffing just to get up and running out of the gate there. I hired Brad, my manager now. Was fortunate enough. He literally jumped on board, with a vision. It's like the place was still getting worked on. Stuff was all over. I'm like, well, you're not going to be at the, Lowell Street gas station for long, hopefully. And, so we had that place. I just packed that. He was there during the transition, and another longtime employee was up front. So, and I was literally floating back and forth, just between 2 places. I GC'd the whole project myself. I didn't have a big construction firm. It was just...
That's huge that you can do that on your own.
Yeah.
Because that is a massive cost.
Yeah.
If you weren't doing that stuff.
Yeah. Yep. So and that's another sheet. I'd build out equipment and just, plug through contractors. They're great. And once all the permitting was set, just literally, I got my occupancy permit. Fire department signed off. We shut down Lowell Street, and we're up and running the next day.
Wow.
Just everything we needed. We just shuffled over, and then the last haul, I rented a flatbed and brought tools over. I bought all the guys. We have uniform boxes there. They each have their own toolbox, but I wanted everything clean, their workstations, so they're all the same style box. So they sold their old boxes, and we just loaded up tools, hand tools, and then the remaining equipment I sold to the new tenant coming in.
Wow.
So it actually, like stuff that's bolted to the floor, I just sold that.
Nice. Just to get something for
On
that.
pennies on the dollar.
Sure.
Gave it away.
I'm sure. Yeah. It's hard to sell something that's on the floor like that, attached.
Yeah.
But that's a big move.
When you say they each have, I'm just curious now, like, so does each guy have, like, essentially their own desk? Like, each one of those bays with, like, those areas?
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
So we're running, you saw those toolboxes. They're all, listed. I actually had my technicians in Lowell Street. They knew everything going on. I brought them and I'm like, we can configure this box from the manufacturer, exactly how those drawers are, the depth, the number of them, the size, the stainless steel. I let them go on the, it's called Russo, the configurator, and we designed those boxes exactly how they wanted them.
That's
and
awesome.
We
cool.
had them all in place, ready to go. So they literally just brought their tools over, and
they were off. Do you think that was like kind of a big morale
oh yeah,
boost for them?
Yeah.
Like they got their own setup the way that they want it?
I mean, we went from a old gas station where you had a wrench on a string for the bathroom.
I remember coming in there to meet.
And it is now they have their lounge, the Patron lounge upstairs.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
we
Break
saw it.
room.
I did not see this picture on that.
Well, it's funny too, like, because I was like, "Oh, this place is great," and then Julia came with us. Julia, our coworker, whose family is, in this industry, and right away, Julia looked at me. She's like, "This is the cleanest shop I've ever seen."
Yeah. Yep. So it was a big push. We had what did we have? We had old oil heat that may not have worked at Lowell Street. It's a big change. So I tell the guys that were there, it's like I have two of the original techs from Lowell Street still with me, and Brad, he was there for an interim. He was there when it was crazy when we were getting ready to get out, but I'm like, these guys don't know, do they? So
It's awesome. And it's funny because like this place has been there for a while, like kind of on 114 there.
Yeah.
But behind it, or by you, is that Paradise Golf.
Oh yeah.
That I recently found with my kids and family, and we just like, they are obsessed. They love going
Place
there,
is
driving
awesome.
range, all that stuff.
That was great. So even before I got in there, I went to I'm like, this is awesome. I can have customers that are waiting. They can go hit balls. I went over and bought the guy thought I was crazy. I said, hey, how many vouchers can I get for $1,500? It's like, what's the wholesale
the
rate?
bulk.
Bulk discount. And it's been great. Yeah, customers go down there. No cost, so anyone. Yeah.
That's cool. That's fun. I mean, to have your car worked on and then go to the driving range, which is like 50 yards away.
Yeah.
It's like right there.
Even in the winter,
Yeah.
Yeah, they have the heaters on.
they have the heated base.
Oh, no kidding.
Because Mike on our side,
Oh, I didn't know that.
Mike on our team, who you were talking to this morning, he used to work there when we were in college.
Okay.
So we would go there all
Paradise?
the time. Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I still get the points emails. I signed up when like 10 years ago now. I still get the emails from Paradise Golf. I love that place.
That's so funny. I mean, what a nice little, extra pro of shifting over there.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet. 114 is packed with traffic too. Like that's just that's a good spot.
Yeah, it's a good spot. We have easy access from 95, Route 1. Before this, I looked at properties right on Route 1, but what's tough there is there's some great places, but if you miss your flyover and you're in between one, you're looking at 10, 12 minutes.
No, it is
that's
packed
a
with
good
traffic, but I've seen places go up and down there all the time as far as like a new restaurant, and then it goes
Oh, yeah.
away, and it's like you'd think with that much traffic and flow of cars going in and out, but I've seen places like not last there at all. But I think 114 is incredible. And they're actually building like all around that new Starbucks, everything across from the shopping center. It seems to be really turned into something. So
Yeah, I think you go hit baseballs right across the street too.
Yep.
Right? That's at least have some practices there. Either way, so where do you see this going? What's the goal for you now that you're at this location and things are going really well? Is there a bigger picture for you down the road that you're thinking about?
Goal-wise for me right now is just get those systems in place where I'm not feeling any need, and it's more of an ego thing, if any, just to have that staff in place, that team I have now, lose my ego, let them make the right decisions, and then potentially open up another 1 or 2 stores.
Awesome.
that's cool. That's you got timelines for that in this vision and what you've written down for goals?
Timeline, if it's I don't want to put a timeline on it yet.
It's hard. Yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
hard to predict any of that stuff. You
Yeah.
never know what's going to happen. But I love the ambition.
I have buddies that, you know, I've seen both ways. They've, you know, been in a good spot and said, "Hey, I'm gonna open another location," but it's a whole nother level. It's a whole nother dynamic. I'm not ready systems wise yet.
Yeah.
To go to location number 2. You have to have everything completely on autopilot where you are, and then you're going to have the other problems that are associated with
100%.
opening up another store.
I think the ego thing is interesting because we talk about that all the time, and you know, you would have had to do it first, but even now that we're growing so quickly, I think that's a big thing for us too, and for myself. It's like, well, I've always done that, I'll just do it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's 6 o'clock and you're like, I didn't get to that thing I said I was going to do. And now, you know, so that's been a big thing of it's possible to do it, but it's hard sometimes to let go.
I mean, I'm running around in Carhartt pants still, and you know, I have buddies. They're like, "You should wear slacks." I'm like, man, I like to get out there, you know.
Yeah.
And
Got to be in the trenches with the
gotta
boys.
get out there.
Yeah.
So, but that's probably an ego thing. Me feeling the need to jump out there where I should be focused on, you know, bringing cars in, making sure the customer experience is awesome, working more outside of the circle.
Yeah. I mean, I try to do that to this day. You know, work in the business, on the business, and like you just can't get away from it fully.
Yeah.
Nor do I want to.
It's
I enjoy it.
It's tough. I mean, hopefully I'm an owner someday, but you know, I'm you know, owner operator.
Love that. I think that's the most trustworthy people, though. Like
Yeah.
you talk to someone like that who you can go buy a business and be the owner, but if you aren't in the trenches or know it day to day, then there's a certain level of trust and credibility that doesn't compute. So if someone like you can look under the hood and, you know, examine any of this stuff and talk to it and, you know, be just a trustworthy good guy that owns the business, it's the best. So that's why you have 500 plus reviews. So 600 now.
Yeah.
That's and not just reviews, 5-star reviews. So, I mean, you're doing something right. That's nuts. We talk to people that just like try to have a better listing that's stronger on Google and try to get them reviews, and like, you know, they're at 12, they're at 20, and like it's hard to get to 100. That's a massive milestone, and you're on the better half of trying to have closer to getting it to 1,000. It's crazy.
Yeah, hopefully push 1,000 this year. But biggest thing is just focus. My staff up front, they love the Google reviews, and you know, I'm like, you know, if I have a technician, you know, name comes up, or I'm like, I know the vehicle that came through, I'll screenshot and Slack it to the tech. Just like, hey, here's your attaboy, you know, fist pump or whatever.
That's cool. That's awesome. We it's funny. We have similar things we try to do. I mean, we have Slack internally that we talk to and like message across everything, but we created, I think like a year and a half ago, spun up the wins channel, and it's for anything. Any kind of win, a good review, you know, whatever. But it's like you got to have
kind of win.
Literally any kind of win.
Yeah,
it could be anything.
I mean, that's a big thing too. It's like I utilize any, you know, auto shop. We have each technician has dual monitors set up wall mounted, all on Slack. They each have, you know, their own PC, you know, for everything else. They're actually building their estimates, so it's not like they tell someone else. Everything's the technician's actually the one making these recommendations.
Nice.
You know, prioritizing, you know, what's critical, what you can wait on, and what's good to go. That streamlines a lot because Brad and Chris up front, they weren't technicians. They're great service advisor, great manager, but they're never technicians. So I want the technicians putting the notes in. They actually go on parts films and grab that part number. Brad and Chris are there for the final presentation. Makes things much, much more efficient.
It feels like there's a big technology push. Where did that come from? Was that just how you were trained or taught, or like?
I was always pseudo into it. I never did paper invoices. I always wanted what it's called. It's the shop management software. It's all your invoicing, communication with customers, scheduling. Everything's done through that. The big push though was actually COVID. We were running an older software that's based in-house on servers. This company, Techmetric, bulletproof, best thing ever, is floating around some shop owners' forums I was on, and they were just scaling that up. And what they offered is a web-based management software, so you didn't have to, if a server glitched or something, you weren't locked out. And they had a Reddit-style upvote for improvements that's still going. So you can vote up, hey, it wouldn't be neat if we had this displayed, or we could see this metric. It also tracks, how I'm doing as a business. I can get an instant pulse on, if we're profitable that day, if we're losing money, which happens sometimes. I can see all that live. And what also made me jump on board, safer away, 6 feet distance, all that. This software had text invoice, email invoice, remote payments, all organic built into the software. So we were able to literally make it, you wouldn't even see us or touch us or anything. And jumped on that. I was one of the first shop 704 out of 27,000 now.
Wow.
So whenever I see him at like a auto convention, I'm like bragging rights because I'm sub 1,000.
That's pretty good.
Pioneer.
That's awesome.
Love that.
I think that way with Monday.com.
Yeah.
We were using that before it was Monday.com. It was called DaPulse, da-pulse.com. And it was like the early days of that. But I don't even know what number I was, but had to be early before that one. But no, it's cool. It's cool to see something that, I don't think historically is known for innovating people with auto body shops or any of that stuff, but you've always pushed, the envelope in regards to that stuff since the first logo and all the stuff that we were working on in the early days. You were always interested in like, what are other people doing? What's some other stuff that other industries are doing, and how can you apply it to your industry? So yeah, I think that's just tip of the cap that you've been aggressive on marketing and other things that traditionally people would go the other way.
Yeah, the biggest thing is I don't want to be your boilerplate shop. We want to be different. We want to be the best. That's always been my goal.
Yeah. No, I can see that. The reviews scream that. So that is, definitely there on the forefront. I guess as someone that works in cars, just more out of curiosity, is there some sort of dream car that, you open up 5 more shops in the next 10 years and like everything's going great? Is there like, you're going to have this sweet toy at home?
Sweet toy.
Yeah,
I can tell you about past sweet toys. But
a Volkswagen?
They so let's see. Right now, my daily is a Toyota Tundra.
Okay.
I've had some fast cars. I've had M3s. I had a Porsche here and there. I don't know what's really doing it for me right now. I see so many. I don't know. I'd probably buy more equipment for shares honestly.
Right. That checks out as far as knowing you and sharing the wealth. Is it? I'm just looking like some of these new Tundras are just badass. Yeah. But it's funny because that doesn't go hand in hand with what you service.
Wife has a BMW.
Okay.
There's some BMW loaner cars, Volkswagen, Audi loaner cars. So I do own some European cars. I don't know. I've most beautiful car though. I'd say Porsche GT3 Touring. I love that car. It's 911, timeless classic. doesn't have all the
Oh Jesus! It's beautiful.
graphics and wings off the back and aero kit that the GT3 RS has, but
Just a sexy car right there.
GT3 Touring
Yep.
is if a pot of gold landed on my head or in the back of the Tundra today, that's
That is a beautiful car.
yeah.
It's funny because my dad's like been into cars forever, and I asked him one day. I gave him a homework assignment to write down all the cars he's ever had, ever. And he's like, I was like, can you even do that? And he's like, yeah, I could definitely do that. Because he's like, I got the 68 this, the 70 whatever that, and he just starts running through all these because he was so into cars. But it's an impressive roster of cars, and I got
many?
Has he owned over the years?
Yeah.
I mean, he was born in 52, so he's had quite a few. But it's something that, like, I don't know shit about cars.
Or-
he had a million.
Or another gold standard would be like a throwback GTO,
Yeah.
old school with the stacked headlights. I don't know the exact year, sorry.
That would be 65
Yeah,
GTO hardtop, maybe. I don't know.
yeah.
A lot.
Convertible, black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many. I don't know. If I get a
So that'd be totally impractical. Probably, I don't know.
yeah.
I'd get pulled over on the Hampton Beach Strip.
I'm hoping that a pot of gold lands in the Tundra today, so that next time we see you, you can.
If I see
You're
you
driving
pulled
that.
over
Yeah.
right outside the casino. at,
My life goal is
Happy
to get
Hampton.
get a cruising violation.
Oh my God, thing of beauty.
That's so good.
Pat, what else you got here?
No, I think that's good. I just love the answer. I wouldn't buy the dream car. I'd hook all the boys up at the shop. That's the best.
Yeah,
I
no.
think that you're still in the weeds. You're thinking about the team, and the biggest thing for me is the push for technology. And I think that also it goes hand in hand with our relationship, right? With what we're doing now on the digital side for the marketing aspect. So it's no surprise the first time I heard of it, I'm like, oh, interesting. Okay, this will be a cool account. But now I'm starting to get the fuller picture, having a real conversation with you on I think why we ended up getting here. But I just think it's so important. The more we see it, or even years ago in previous jobs, I spoke with a lot of restaurant owners, right, in my previous career years and years ago. And technology is here. It's just going to keep going. But I feel like the experience that I've had at mechanic shops, it's a lot of I've done it this way, and I'm always going to do it this way. With you, I see innovation, which I think is cool. It's going to lead to a lot.
Yeah, I mean it's constant. I meet, we all talk. A bunch of other shop owners across the country. I know guys with 17 European stores. I know guys just starting out their first. We all network. We meet quarterly, in person at events. That's a huge part of it too. We just get a pulse on everything. I bounced off. This is unheard of. I shut down the week of Christmas. And it is expensive for me. Zero coming in, bonuses going out, everything under the sun. But I was like, why am I going to have these guys come in Monday, come back Friday or Thursday or Friday? I was just like, let's shut it down.
Yeah.
It's like, it was expensive, but it was great. It was great for me, where we could do that. But some, I got some feedback. They're like, "You're insane," and I'm like, "No, it's not." My thing is, it's whatever they need. I'm jumping around the shop. I always say, "Hey, you need anything?" They think I'm probably just being passive or goofing off half the time. But if they said, "Hey, we really need this," I'm on it right away.
Yeah.
Just every morning when I roll in, sometimes a little late if I have to. Kid stuff out of the gate, but I just want to, them to come at me. What do you need? What do you need to make it easier for you, make it better for you guys?
Well, I think that's huge. I mean,
I think we're cut from the same cloth.
we've been working for Matt. Yeah. Have you ever said no to me? Like I try to no, like
That's probably a good question.
like but you know, like something that like I also try not to ask for too much. You know what I mean? And like learn. It's kind of like earn your stripes for like if I'm like, hey, if we had X, Y, Z, here's where it would help. I don't think you've ever said no.
No, I always love investing in us. Everyone has nice mics. Everyone has nice stuff, and it's very similar. I think how we operate.
Yeah.
We're just like got to take care of
Yeah, but
everyone.
and unfortunately, there's this going back to other shops. There's this mentality of, I know great guys, and and I'll come at I talk to my buddy Keith in Baltimore all the time, or buddy Justin, South Shore Auto Works, and take their input. Sometimes I get from them. They're like, oh, they'll figure it out. They'll make it work.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you know what? Let me give them that push.
Yeah. That's cool.
Well, it certainly helps from like perspective from me, working, for you, especially in the early days. It was like, oh, I don't know. It's different in every business. Like little things like, I remember when I first started working and like I had the worst headphones. Matt was like, here, let's go get you a nice pair of headphones. And I still remember that and being like, he didn't have to fucking do that. You know what I mean? But it was like something pretty small, and I'm sure from like a business expense wasn't that crazy, but always like thinking about the employees can really lead to a lot of trust, even if it's small.
They're my number one customer, my employees. If you want to put it that way, if you've heard that spoken on. In right out of the gate when I set things up, I was working 6 days a week, but I'd go in on Saturdays. But my goal ultimately was not to be open weekends. Have stuff in place, make it convenient for the customer. We have loaner cars. We have after-hours drop-off. We have Uber. Will pick you up. You don't have to see us. We can get you where you need to go within reason. We don't cover airfare. But I was like, we don't need to be here. We shut down at 5. Lights are out. I mean, Brad's in his gym clothes at 4:59, taking that last call sometimes. We have it wired, so everybody's communicated with in ready to go, 8 to 5. Up front staff, they're in at 7:30, but my technicians aren't there weekends. Black Fridays were off. All these little holidays. I think I've had like the most insane amount, vacation in holidays for an auto repair shop, which is totally out of the norm industry-wise. Because when I was at the dealer, they 6 days a week, rotating Sundays now even. I offer, to get out of that grind. In most cases, more PTO for the technicians, and Black Friday, where dealer you'd have to go in or trade shifts, they don't have to worry about any of that. And it's like this past Martin Luther King Day, that was never a day I got off when I was at a dealership. And you'd be going to work, you'd see all your neighbors, the finance bros, get out, I don't know, doing something, and you're throwing on your Centos pants to do services.
Right.
Yeah.
It goes a long way.
It does. If someone watching this has a European car, Audi, BMW, Mercedes, Mini, Porsche, or Volkswagen, what is the best way to engage with you or North Shore Motor Werks?
Just give us a call.
Give us a ring. We that's 978-531-0007 over in Middleton. And then obviously like we're helping manage the social media side, so anyone watching this, definitely follow, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff with North Shore Motor Werks. Any closing thoughts, James?
No, really, Matt.
Cool.
No, this was great. I'm glad we had this conversation. Even rounds it out for me, a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for people to see this.
Good stuff. Thanks for coming in.
No, thank you.